The 8th set will be played on the Bel'Shir Vestige. Spawning in the top left-hand position as the Red Terran from SK Telecom T1. His name is Fantasy. If he gets the win here, his team secures the playoff spot.
His opponent bottom right position as Blue Protoss playing for EGTL. His name is Hero. He can deny SK Telecom T1 from advancing into the playoffs today if Hero can win the next match.
There's Coach Boxer, a few fangirls behind him. And of course, the old SK Telecom T1 former head coach. Coach Park now coaching Evil Genius's Team Liquid. Bit of a rivalry there between them. A friendly rivalry, though.
Between the two players, their last encounter was back in March 5th in GSO Up and Downs on this particular map where Fantasy defeated Hero, and their score is 1-0.
Good to see the foreigners showing up, and I have not seen this many people in the OGN studio in a long time, so that's really nice to see them all showing up for the StarCraft matches. And this is only the first match. They got a whole nother one to watch afterwards as well.
It's surprising because after Brood War ended, you know, a lot of fans in Korea, they were like, oh, Brood War is better than StarCraft2, so we're not going to come see StarCraft2. In fact, we're going to go see some other games. But StarCraft2 is making a comeback in Korea with a lot more fans joining the studio to watch the live games. And, you know, games, it doesn't matter if it's easy or hard. If it's fun to watch, if it's fun to play, people are gonna watch it. People are gonna consider it as an esport, and they're gonna enjoy the hell out of it.
All right, Pro moving in here, the Fantasy's base. Scouts the barracks, scouts the gas. Everything pretty standard here from the Terran side, so Hero won't really be too, worried by anything. It does see the fast reactor, though. Something to note there. We could see double Reapers from Fantasy. He does like to play a harass-orientated style of play, so that certainly would suit him.
So recapping today's match, Oz defeated Bisu, with Hero taking out Best in set number 2. Rain took out Teja from EGTL, but Revival won the ZBZ match against S2. However, Parting and Fantasy took set number 5 and 6 to drag the whole series into the ace match, set number 7, between Fantasy and Hero.
Hero really just moving around the map here. He may potentially put down a proxy. Going for the Nexus first, though. And this probe over in the top right-hand corner of the map. I guess just searching around for various tricky things. Command Center starting up for Fantasy as well. So both bases will go down around the same time. The economies are going to be pretty similar here. Double Reaper opening from Fantasy could be annoying, but there is going to be Militia Core out here for defense, so at most maybe they'll pick off a worker or two, but it's not going to be anything too insane. They're just going to be annoying.
How do you feel about the double Reaper openings from Terran players these days, especially after going for the reactor first?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much you're going to get guaranteed scouting information. It is a lot of gas early on. That's 150 gas devoted to the reactor and the 2 Reapers here. But you're pretty much guaranteed to scout your opponent, and you have 2 chances at doing that as well.
Look at this, just like you said, the second Reaper sneaks inside the natural, sees the Nexus, and that's all Fantasy wanted to see, seeing that his opponent is not going for any one-base all-in shenanigans, especially against a player like Hero who can go for cheesy plays against ace players from other teams. Fantasy needs to get a perfect scouting information on his opponent. I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't go inside the main base to see what Hero is building inside the main base, just like a Stargate.
You do see that Stargate on the way here for our EGTL player. Love the Stargate play against Terran players. It just makes the matchup so much more interesting and dynamic. Completely changes the way the early game is played. The Terrans are almost always forced on the defensive here. We could see some drop exchange here, some harassment from the Stargate, some drops from the Starport here. We do have 2 Hellions on the way. We've actually been seeing a little bit more Hellions more recently from our Terran players against Protoss, and I mean, I have to hand it to Hero. He just does not want to get scouted here, but this Reaper may move into the main base. 3 Stalkers are going to hold this area, though, for now, and you know what? This has got a really confused Fantasy, and he's going to lose the Reaper. 1 Reaper goes down. The second one going to try to move in here. No, darts back.
He didn't time this correctly at all. He should have sent in the Reaper, 2 Reapers at the same time, and 1 would have gotten inside the main base. But now he's not going to get a scouting inside the main base. 3 Stalkers, 2 shots with each Stalker, and boom, there goes the Reaper Oracle is being built, but the Mothership Core also getting some units inside the main base. Gets 1 unit, but nice time warp delays SCV's mining time inside the main base.
Spots a lot of the tech as well. He's going to know about this drop. There's already a few Stalkers here. Whoa! Fast third from Fantasy and being very ballsy with it, putting it at that third location there. The Oracle, though, is going to head towards the main base. We have a few Hellions here near expansion. Oh! The third base is spotted as well. This is actually going to be really good for Hero. He can potentially do a critical amount of damage to his opponent here. He's going to have to defend on multiple fronts here. The Phoenix should be able to easily deal with this drop as well, with the addition of the Stalkers here, forcing that drop away.
He needs to drop the Marines immediately because the Phoenixes, they have the same speed as a Medivac when they get boosted, so he needs to drop immediately, but not all of the Marines are going to get dropped. But look at this, Hellions at the natural, also eating away on some of the probes by Hero, just trying to multitask to his best abilities right now.
Yep, the Marines won't be able to do too much here. And look at this, though. 7 kills, 8 kills. The Oracle trading blows. Both players trying to do a good amount of economic damage to their opponents here.
Uh-oh, no Marines over here.
No Marines, and there's still a lot of energy on this Oracle as well. He can easily pick off a lot of these units here. Look at that high five from the EGTL bench that was caught, but oh no, more Hellion harassment here from Fantasy as well. The Oracle continuing to pick off more and more workers here, up to 14 kills. That is ridiculous. Stalkers moving forward to the natural as well. Where are the units from Fantasy? He doesn't have enough units.
Well, all of those units were spent into the drop inside the main base. That's where all the Marines are. And remember, he went for the faster command center, which means that he spent 400 minerals. That's 8 Marines into building a command center, looking for the late game. But now, Fantasy only has 4 Marines inside the main base, only 5. With the Oracle and the Stalkers, he can easily take those out.
We have a Widow Mine on the way here. That needs to be picked off if this attack is going to continue to be successful here. No, it's not. And
amazing job trying to draw out the fire. There is a second Widow Mine. And look at this, even Snoot is happy about, you know, EGTO. They're so close to taking out Fantasy from SK Telecom T1, but our SK Telecom T1 player also doing a fantastic job with the Hellion. And these Marines are eating away on the probes inside the main base. So both players are down to 1 mining base right now.
It's just back and forth, consistent aggression on both ends here. The SCV is being pulled off the mineral line, and a Widow Mine shot goes off, picks off a few of those units there. And the Oracle now going to town, up to 18 kills there. Fantasy, if he loses too many of these SCVs here, I think that's going to be lights out for him. There's only a few units left now in the main base of Hero. He has managed to defend against the Hellions, against the Marine aggression. Look at that Oracle, up to 22 kills. Absolutely ridiculous there. Fantasy does manage to defend. The SCV count, though, 13 to 24. Hero has taken a very strong economic lead here. He still has that Oracle for harassment. Fantasy against the wall here. He's behind in a lot of different ways. His command center at the natural looks like it was forced to be lifted into the main base. No command center at the third as well. That was forced to be canceled. And this pylon will end up spotting this drop here as well.
Yeah, well, all he has to do is scare away his opponent from that particular position, slowly eat away on the Medivac and applying constant pressure at the natural. Pretty much forcing Fantasy to stay on 1 base throughout the entire game. If Hero can pull that off, then he's going to win the game, no problem.
Hero doing a good job microing here, lifting up the single Marauder, really just, oh no, losing a few more units here, but the problem is there's just nothing left for Fantasy here. He's only got a handful of units here. Hero, he's got the edge where he can warp in units and they will continue to be strong. The Oracle, a second Oracle now, up to 74 energy, but Fantasy, he's got a lot of units. He has the Widow Mine and the main base as well. Hero is going to be forced to move back for now. He needs to move into a macro game and just continue to harass here and there and not fall behind to potential drops and harassment. The Widow Mine, though, it's going to go ahead and take out the Oracle, but picks off a few SCVs as well. So at least that Oracle going out with a bang.
Yeah, and throughout the entire harassment process, look at the minimap. Fantasy never retook the natural. He's down to 1 mining base. Hero, he's been constantly making probes from 2 bases. He's building Immortals behind this, knowing that Fantasy only has 1 more time. If he decides to attack, all he has to do is defend once, and Hero is going to take the ace match.
And the Widow Mine still on cooldown. A few of these units getting picked off here. He knows about that Widow Mine there, so just being darting in and out with that Oracle. On the Razor's Edge there is going to have to get out, but still managing to get 7 SCV kills on the Terran army here. Fantasy just continuing to fall behind in economy. He is he's got to do something desperate here to get back into this game, but the longer that this game goes on, the better position Hero will be in.
I'm a little bit surprised that Fantasy did not make a Viking throughout the whole game. If you see an Oracle, it's better to make a Viking to make sure that your opponent does not make a second Oracle, or even start building turrets in the mineral line, because if not, you'll lose 30 SCVs just like Fantasy did in today's game.
The Oracle, the second Oracle has been picked off there by the Widow Mine, but still, the Oracles overall, the damage has been done. We do see 76 supply to, I believe, the 68. And this is going to be pretty much yeah, Fantasy can't even go for this attack here. There's 2 Immortals, Mothership Core, Sentries, Zealots, Stalkers. There's nothing that Fantasy can really do in this position. If he goes in for the attack, his units are going to get force field off and just shredded apart.
So smart by Hero. He knows what to do in this particular situation after gaining an early lead. Yes, he allowed his opponent to take the natural base, but he knows that Fantasy's natural has been delayed for such a long time that it doesn't matter if he allows Fantasy
Fantasy's going to go for it. The force fields are pretty solid here, trying to focus fire down the Immortals. Nice lift off there. Loses a few Marines, but picks off the Immortal. Overall, actually a pretty solid trade for the Terran player. That's really, I mean, he's got a lot of units in the yellow and red. He can eventually heal those up, but that's pretty much the best he can do in this situation to get back into this game.
And if he really wants to come back, he needs to do a couple of times to pick up a lot of Immortals or drop into the main base when his opponent is not scouting around. Because remember, his opponent Hero, yes, he is far ahead in this game, but he doesn't have any AoE army. Remember, the Robobay is just finishing up for our Protoss player Hero. He only has Immortals, no Storm, no Archon.
The Colossus are going to be pivotal in this army. This is Hero's weakest point in the game, pretty much. And the Phoenix here are doing a good job scouting. Oh, he needs to control that properly. Does not want to let that get picked off here. That's so crucial, the scouting this potential Doom drop here. Fantasy could go for a multi-pronged attack here, but Hero, he's going to know about this. He's got everything in position. As long as he controls his units, as long as he's not caught out of position, he will be able to hold on here. The Colossus now in production, +1 armor about to complete here. Nexus Cannon goes down as well. These units are going to try to move in and potentially pick off the natural here. It's getting low on health.
This could be the game-changing move!
Get the natural. He's going to lose a few units here, but Hero losing the natural as well. Definitely a superior trade for Fantasy. And these force fields, not a second one there to help out. Hero, though, is he going to press forward and try to chase away this Terran army back to the natural of Fantasy?
Yeah, well, if Fantasy sees this coming, all he has to do is defend against one timing attack from his opponent. Yes, there is a Colossus being built. Yes, there is an Oracle being built right now. Fantasy does not have any Vikings, but it's not the end of the world for him because the Colossus doesn't have any range, and that's only one Colossus from the Protoss player. And now he lost a Nexus. Did not, you're a Protoss player. You cannot lift up the Nexus. All you can do is just watch it getting eaten away and rebuild it a little bit later in the game.
The Oracle spots the potential double drop coming here. Hero, he is getting a third base here. The Colossus is going to pretty much fend off any attacker. The Stalker's in position. They're going to go ahead and pick off one of the medevacs. The second one low on health as well. It may get picked off as well. Yes, medevac goes down. And the Oracle helping out defend here. All of those Stalkers get picked off. But overall, okay defense from Hero. He does lose a good amount of units, but he picks off the 2 medevacs and all the units inside.
Yeah, but the crucial key point for Fantasy was he took out the natural. If it wasn't for that, if Hero would have defended against the attack, and he would have gone for a counter attack and won the game right away. So it was really smart by Fantasy. Yes, he did lose a couple of good units over here and there, but getting the Nexus was so worth it that Hero, he's down. He has a nice firepower right now. He has the Immortals, he has 1 Colossus in his main army, but because he doesn't have the 2 base economy, he cannot push out and try to end the game, because if he botches his attack once, he's going to lose the game.
Hold that thought. There's a big medevac drop in the main base here. Fantasy, he could go after this base actually and snipe it. He's killing off the Immortal quite easily here.
The Nexus going down right now. The shields are gone. Where's the Colossus? Where's the Immortals?
The Zealots, the Immortals, the Colossus moving in here, but these units are just going to boost out of there. Fantasy, is he going to actually come back in this game with these consistent drops? I mean, the minerals being mined from the main base, not too important. But the gas there still very valuable to the Protoss army. The Protoss need that gas to get those high-tech units here. Oracle being spotted by a few units, going to be scared away for now. And this is just turning into an insanely tense game here. It's still anyone's game, but Fantasy, despite being so far behind, he is starting to crawl back, and the Oracle is going to be spotted by the Viking as well. Going to easily chase the Oracle away. It will end up getting picked off most likely. The Widow Mine Shot goes off as well. Oracle falling. Hero, he's starting to lose composure here. Fantasy looking stronger and stronger. Hero needs to get it together. He needs to become solid. He can't take any more economic damage.
This is like watching SK Telecom T1's whole Pro League season. They started off strong, and that's what Fantasy did. You know, he did a nice scouting at the natural, saw the Nexus, but he started crumbling apart, and that's what happened to SK Telecom T1 in rounds 2, 3, and 4. But as soon as they gained the composure, they started making it into top 4 again, as Fantasy drops inside the main base once again, and it's gonna go for the kill inside the main base.
The Vikings are gonna be able to snipe the Colossus as well. Fantasy is playing so smart this game. He gets the Colossus. And Hero, I mean, he's falling behind. He is now actually behind in supply. He was ahead for so long, but now Fantasy has taken about a 20 supply lead over his opponent. He's got the air advantage here. He has gone ahead and lifted that command center at the natural to the third base. Both players are pretty much mined out in the main, so they're not too useful beyond the gas, but I mean, it's looking better and better for Fantasy. Yeah. He is remaining very, very composed here, doing a great job attacking, defending, harassing. And Hero, I mean, he can't seem to deal with these drops here.
What's really particularly curious about Hero's play today is he went for a Stargate, he opened up with a Phoenix. If he went for 2 or 3 Phoenixes and kept it alive, those drops wouldn't have happened at all. But because he only kept to 1 Phoenix count, he allowed Fantasy to drop multiple times inside the main base, and now we have a situation where Fantasy, he was behind throughout the whole game, but because of these amazing drops inside the main base, Hero is falling apart little by little. The Storm is being researched right now, but if Fantasy finds the Temple Archives just in time, he can deny it right away.
If the drops are going to get at least forced away for now. It's looking worse and worse for Hero, I want to say. And look at that, 2 Widow Mines there. That Oracle, he needs to be careful with it. Oh, unfortunately, the Oracle gets picked off there. Hero cannot be happy about that. And Widow Mine actually, I think, manages to potentially pick off a SCV there, as well as the Oracle. So, look at this. Fantasy lowering all of those Vikings here, going to pick off that pylon. The one advantage here for Hero is that all of these Vikings are going to be pretty useless. Hold that thought, though. We have a humongous Doom drop here moving in. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Medivacs into the main base here. And, you know, where are the observers from Hero? He needs those to know where these Medivacs are coming from.
The observers are at the third base trying to scout where the main army is, but the problem is, like I said, no Phoenix over here, no observer over here to defend against the attack, and Fantasy is going for a double-pronged attack into the third base. This is going to secure SK Telecom T1 a spot in the playoffs. After a couple of weeks trying to make it into the playoffs, Fantasy is gonna make SK Telecom T1 advance into postseason.
Well, Hero's not gonna GG out of here just yet. The supplies are down. He's almost out. There's still a flicker of life left for our EGTL player Hero, trying to get out of the supply blocked zone. He's got so much minerals here, and I mean, maybe, you know, if he goes for an attack, he's got Storm. There's no Ghosts to defend against this army. If he gets perfect Storms, he's got to make a miracle happen here. But interesting location for the factory there. But maybe he wants to make some Widow Mines here to deal with the lack of observers on the map. Fantasy, though, he's going to move in now with this army. Hero, he's only got a handful of units. Where's the rest of his army here?
It's all crumbled right now, and yes, he does have the Storms, but he doesn't have the backup Zealots to finish off the Bio Army. There is an Archon inside the main base, but the Storms,
though, where are the Storms from the other Templar? There we go.
Great Storms on the main army, but is it enough?
Even if Fantasy loses this army, I don't think it's going to matter. Hero is simply out of economy, out of supplies. The last of Hero's units are going to end up falling here. The Immortals not able to do enough damage. Very close here between the two players. But Fantasy, despite being so far behind, manages the comeback, does some amazing drop play, snipes off constant expansions, and just kind of running circles around Hero throughout the majority of the late game. Fantasy, he has done it. It looks like that's it. GG is called. SK Telecom are confirmed for the playoffs.
Finally, after all these tries, SK Telecom T1 makes it into the postseason. And watching the game itself, it was the story of Fantasy throughout the whole season. Beginning solid in round number 1, he was doing fantastic. But in rounds 2, 3, and 4, he fell back, and Heart of the Swamp, he started making a comeback. And if you just look at this particular game, yes, he was far behind against Hero, but once he gained the composure in StarCraft2, he started making a comeback in this season, just like you saw in this particular game against Hero.
Fantasy never gave up throughout that entire game, despite being so far behind in workers. His third command center was canceled. The natural lifted up into the main base. He still stayed in the game. He did what he could, and eventually he was able to find holes in Hero's defense. He completely abused them, and just in the end, he outplayed Hero. He is the better man. He deserved 100% that victory there.
So with this victory, SK Telecom T1 is the last team in Pro League going into the postseason, as the top 4 teams are guaranteed to be Wongjin Stars in first place, and in no particular order, KT Roaster, STXO, and SK Telecom T1 are in the postseason.
Yep, those 3 teams there, they could still potentially move around in the second, third, and fourth place rankings. It really just depends how the rest of the season pans out here. But remember, we only have a few games left, guys. We have our second match for today. We have games tomorrow, the day after that, and then on Tuesday as well. Then we will go into the postseason. So those are the last few groups of matches that can make a difference for these teams that want to try to get a different place in Pro League.